What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back working on the K24 swapped BRZ, and today we're going to see if we can get the massive 8HP 70 8-speed automatic transmission mounted onto the engine underneath the car, or if this was just a huge waste of time. So to give you guys some context, today is Tuesday. On Thursday, the day that this video comes out, I will be flying to California. So I have tonight and tomorrow night to test, fit, and try to make the 8HP fit underneath the car, under the tunnel, and edit the video and have it ready to post automatically on Thursday. So we're on a time crunch, so let's get to work. So last night, I went ahead and started getting the 8HP squeezed up in there, and as you can see, we are pretty close. So if I bring this up level, you can kind of see the transmission mount right here is all the way on the back. It'll be these two studs. So I have a cross member that will basically go onto those two bolts, and it'll go all the way flat across the underside of the car. So I've got the trans mount, but this is going to need to go up another couple of inches to be able to actually get onto the adapter plate that's on the back of the engine. And as you can see, it is on a bit of an angle. It's a little bit closer together down here on the bottom, and it's a little further apart on the top. I'm going to see if I can get some lights turned on under here so I can show you what we're working with and what I'm going to need to clearance. All right, so now we're a little bit closer to the front of the transmission. I'm gonna see if I can get up in here. So right here, I have the supply and return -10 AN fittings for the transmission cooler. So that's gonna run all the way up to the front. And as you can see, there's all these little ears, these little tabs, and the only purpose that these things ever had from stock was to have these little wiring sort of connector holders, these little junk things. So those, and I don't know if you can see the top one all the way up here, this guy is already touching the underside of the tunnel. There's a tab up here that needs to be cut off. That tab right there that you can kind of see needs to be cut off. There's really not too much on this sort of the passenger side of the transmission that really needs to be clearanced at all. So what I'm about to do is drop the whole transmission back out of the car. I'm gonna start cutting and grinding all of these little tabs off, and I'm also gonna need to hammer back on the tunnel a little bit just to make sure that I have enough room to get the transmission raised up around the flywheel and then, pushed on to actually be able to mount up to the bolts. So let's drop this out and let's start cutting. All right, so here we have our 8HP 70. Now, these are all of the little tabs and ears that I was mentioning. This one, this one, this one. This passenger side, other than this guy, which is so far close to the top of the case, I really don't think that this one's gonna need to be shaved down, but I might do it just in case. But it doesn't have any of the little kind of barbs sticking out, like 1, 2, and 3. Well, 3 and 4 really. So the main ones that need to be done, and again, these do not have any kind of flow, any kind of sensor port connectors or anything like that. These were literally just intended to hold little wiring retainers like this, and they're super annoying. So I can cut that, I can cut this, I can cut these two off, I can shave this down. It looks like this might have flow through it, but there's just a little metal plug in the back. So again, this one, like this one, is so close to the top that I don't really think I'm gonna need to do too much to these or these, but for the sake of trying to get this thing up into the tunnel as far as I can get it, I might just shave these down just a little bit. But yeah, cutting, and cutting. First things first, I'm actually gonna take these fittings off and I'm gonna tape around these ports for the cooler. One, I don't want to damage my nice 10 AN hardware, but also I don't want to get any little metal shavings stuck in there. So I'm going to take these off, tape over them, and I'm probably going to tape over and bag the entire torque converter, just so that, you know, again, we don't get any little metal shavings in there, and I think we'll be ready to cut. All right, so here's where we're at. Obviously, we've got a lot of shavings, but we've cut the ears off of this guy and got it relatively trim. You know, could I get this closer to the body? Probably. Same thing with this, same thing with that, but I am relatively happy, at least for the short term, with how that turned out. Just in terms of kind of, you know, making the case of the body a little bit closer. All right, so this was where one of the tab was. So it's a little closer to being round as opposed to having these two jutting out. The same with this jutting out and this coming out. So because of the fact that we're on a bit of a time crunch, I think that's kind of where we're gonna leave it for now. You know, maybe I would like to do this one. Maybe I'd like to do this and the little square ones at the top, but for right now, I just need to see if this thing is gonna get anywhere close, and I've got all sorts of little metal shavings. So before we do anything, I need to get this cleaned up pretty well before we roll it back into the garage, and especially before we take any of the tape or the bagging off. I need to turn my attention to the firewall, specifically this little bulb right here. As you can see, it when I was trying to take the CD009 out with the engine still in place, I had to do some sanding of the transmission case in order to, you know, be able to clear. So this side doesn't really have that. It's pretty much straight up. There's a little notch right here that you can kind of see, but this little bulb mushroom dome right here needs to go. And I don't want to cut it, and so that means that the easiest thing for me to do is to go hammer time. So let's see if we can't hammer this little bulb back and get it semi-flat without touching or hitting anything here on the engine. It's definitely working. We're definitely denting that in, which is good. I need to grab some earplugs or something. I should have been wearing them when I was using the grinder earlier too, but I don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell the difference too much, but this whole section, so that was that little dome. It went like this. So I mean, it didn't clear that much. It might have cleared half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, but honestly, that might be all I need. That might make the entire difference between being able to get the transmission on here and not. So let's see if we can't get that up in here and see if we can try and get it a little bit closer. I do know that this engine is probably gonna need to tilt back a little bit, because right now, because there's no weight on the backside of it, it's just sitting perfectly upright. But I do know that this is probably gonna have to tilt back this way. I don't know, you guys know what I'm saying. But let's give it another test fit. All right, well, I can tell you right now that we are way better off than we were before I did any of this work, because normally I would have had to like shimmy it back and forth. Yeah, I can see the two tabs that I cut off, the two that were like right above each other that were really close to the front. I saw those normally would have been making contact by now, but they're not, obviously, because they're not there anymore. So now I have a lot more wiggle room, and now I can even come forward here. I need to get my alternator wire up out of the way, because it does kind of droop just a little bit. Oh yeah, dude, this is so much better. And the barrel, like the actual like cylinder of the transmission casing itself, is more narrow than the CD. The real thing I was concerned about with the fit was just how the bell housing was gonna kind of be able to line up or not. But dude, this is actually looking, after like cutting those tabs off, this is looking pretty dang mint, dude. Like, actually kind of crazy. Now, I will say, one thing I have noticed is that my hard lines for the fuel supply and return are a little close to the bell housing. So, we'll see once I get it high enough, like basically level with the engine. We'll see if I'm gonna have to do something about that, or if they're gonna be okay. So, who knows? I might be, as a part of this swap, I might be going to full 8 AN fuel supply and running a return and putting in a fuel hanger, like a radium fuel pump hanger in the stock tank with -8 AN lines front to back. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just speculating. I hope this fan isn't ruining the audio. I just now realized. But here, previously, this tab and the tab above it were the ones that were sticking out the most, and they were making contact with the inside of the tunnel here. And that little dome, little kind of mushroom thing, you can just sort of see all of the marks where I was hitting the tunnel right here where my middle finger is, right up there. Normally that would be almost touching the bell housing by now, but because we hammered it out of the way, there's a decent amount of clearance in there. So this thing can continue to go up, where this was pretty much maxed out before I made all those changes. On the passenger side of things, yeah, the passenger side is like wide open. Like, there's nothing even coming close to making contact anywhere in this gap. So this side is fine. It's just been cutting the little ears off and hammering back that little sort of mushroom bulb thing up there. So we're about, I don't know, 2 inches short of where we need to be. And also the engine does still need to tilt back a little bit to meet up with this perfectly, but we're really close. So let's keep going. I can't believe that. Give him a little light. Okay, so we can maybe cut that little tab, maybe hammer that flat. But this is looking pretty freaking mint, dog. The clearance on this thing is freaking mint. Like, I say that having already done the like expansion for the CD, but I didn't really have to hammer much of the like tunnel entrance to get the CD to fit. Now, I should have done more. It would have made it a lot easier to pull the CD out. But with what I did for that and what I've done just now by cutting the little ears off of the sides of this that, again, are not used in any way, literally just like hold like wiring retainers. So cutting those tabs off is not going to affect this in any negative way. Cutting those off and hammering back the corner of the entrance to this tunnel a little bit, and there might even be a smidge more that I can do. Just back this down, hammer a little sort of flange thingy flat against the tunnel, maybe cut one more little thing off of the side of the transmission. But dude, once I tilt this engine back, like this is as high as the transmission needs to go.
and I'm not like maxed out on my jack. I'm pretty close. It's right about at the top, but it's not like I'm running out of space trying to get this transmission in here. So I basically just need to put something on the front, the crank pulley of the engine, just to get the engine to tilt backwards. And I can throw some freaking bolts in here. Like, this is insane. Basically, these are gonna be your bolt hole connections. And you can see that this gap is a lot smaller than the gap up at the top. And that's what I mean by when I tilt this engine back this way, it'll line up with this a lot better. So, you know, we may need to go up another little kind of 1/4 inch maybe, just to be able to get this bolt hole to there. But again, when I tilt the engine back, that'll help with that fitment. And like, dude, and I don't think I'm gonna need to be like much further back to be able to clear the flywheel and everything that's, you know, that the torque converter is gonna rest on. So it's not like this is, you know, way too far forward and needs to be slid back. Like maybe another like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch slid back this way. But dude, we're looking dang good. I'm gonna say that's a success.
Well guys, I am genuinely surprised how well this is fitting. I've basically done this whole video in about an hour and a half up to this point. Like, this is the fastest video I think I've ever filmed. Obviously, would I like to bolt the flywheel on, torque down the adapter plate, and actually mount the transmission today and in this video? Yes, but with the time constraint that I have, I'm about to go to California in 2 days, and I'm not gonna have any time to work on this tomorrow. So sorry that you guys don't get to see it completed. That'll be the next video once I get back from California. So next week, I won't have a video ready just because I'm gonna be in California all the way up until next Tuesday. So I won't, you know, have enough time to make another video. The week after that, we should have adapter plate, all of the bolts. I only have like a few of them just holding it in place. All of the bolts for the adapter plate torqued down, the flywheel in place, and the transmission mounted. I do need to install a couple things on the transmission, the trans mount. I need to actually fill it up with ATF, with fluid. Needs to have oil in there. And yeah, we're cooking at this point. So that's where I'm gonna end the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date. If you want some Downshift Racing merch, shirts, hats, hoodies, sticker packs, head on over to downshiftracing.co and pick yourself something up while you're over there. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, build your dreams.